It's your boy Los LOS from the Community Leaders Podcast, and I am here with another member of the cohort, and his name is Joseph Green.
What's up, brother?
What's up, Joseph? How you been doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Finally here.
Finally here. And the last time we saw each other was at that summit on the suburb, right?
Yes, sir.
At that church. What was the name of the church?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either, but it was a big church. Right, it was a huge church.
It's a huge church, mega church.
Yeah, it's the first church I seen with an escalator.
They had multiple escalators.
Did they?
Yeah.
I remember two.
They had two on the other side, and they had two on the other side.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huge church.
Great show, though.
Oh, absolutely. The event was awesome. Learned a lot.
Absolutely.
What did you learn off that?
To say no, right?
That's right. They mentioned that.
Saying no, being able to make sure that I'm highlighting people that I'm working with, right? Sometimes we take a lot in and we don't give a lot out. So being able to praise the team, highlight the team, but also different techniques on leading, stuff like that as well.
Awesome.
But I got to connect with you, right? And we got to learn about each other and the work that we both doing. So
right.
That was a good thing. And then networking with other people as well. So
right, awesome. So Joseph, let the people know a little bit about yourself. What are you doing right now?
Right now, I'm the director of workforce and job development. I have the privilege of working for Westside Health Authority. We're a non-for-profit in the Austin area. WHA has been around since 1988, right? I started back in October of 2018, but right now I'm working with men and women coming home. I'm working with everybody in the community, trying to get them employment, right? But also teaching them the soft skills, teaching them training, how to prepare for work. I'm also with the Community Violence Intervention Grant. We call it SC2. And so we're working with violent offenders, people who are currently in the community. A lot of what we're doing is working with people with violent backgrounds. Okay. So these are individuals who have probably been active shooters in the community, active hustlers, right, and saying, hey, are you ready to change? And so in that process of them changing, they're coming into us, and we're taking them through some steps, finding out what's up with the family, finding out what's going on mentally, right? And then once they're ready for that next step, then they're coming to us for workforce development.
So when you say coming home, what do you mean by coming home? They're coming out the pen?
Some people coming home from the penitentiary, right? Some people coming home from the reality of what's going on in the community, because we have people on the blocks, right, that are doing things, but why are they doing those things? They're trying to survive. And a lot of times people only see one way of life. They only see one way of living. And so we want to show them a different way of living. We want to show them a different way of thinking, but also surrounding yourself with people that's like-minded, that's trying to change. If you have the power to put the gun down, right, then there's something in you that says, hey, I want to change. I want to take myself to another level.
That's good.
And so in taking yourself to the next level, you have to have those keys. You have to have that weapon, but a different weapon, which is knowledge. And so knowledge is power that's manifested for a person to be able to take those next steps, because you basically say, hey, I don't want to live this life no more. I want to live a square life. And for many of us, a square life is getting up every day, going and doing the same thing over and over, but also having a purpose in mind with that, having intentions in mind for that. And so trying to get people to buy into a different way of life, entrepreneurship, having success, building a family. Family builds foundation. Foundation builds what? Legacy. And so giving people a different type of mindset, helping our people to have a growth mindset. And so at WHA, we get everybody. Everybody comes through our offices. Doesn't matter who they are, what their background is. We're going to help every single person, but just really giving them the keys to success. It's not just helping them find a job, but showing them how to get a job. So we're teaching them how to fish, per se. Right.
Awesome. So what got you into this work?
I think I've always had a passion for the work of just being community driven. But it was really my father really coming to me back in 2018 and just asking me like, what do you want to do, right? Are you happy where you're working at? And so to talk about the work, I probably have to say, okay, I was at IC Stars back in 2015, and I was really trying to find myself, like really trying to find my niche in life. I had just been laid off at Bank of America. I was working there for over 10 years, doing operations. And I was just like, what do I want to do? And I was a little cocky at that time, right? I thought that I knew everything. I think when you're a young man in life, you think you got everything together, you know everything. But then I realized that, no, I don't have everything together. And so I See Stars allowed me to kind of get a vision of who I was, but also put me in a position where I'm saying, okay, I can be better, I can be more transferable, and I can be a leader, but I'm learning tech at the same time. So I was doing some coding and background development.
Okay.
And excuse me, I actually ended up being one of the program managers for my team, for my cohort. So I graduated from there, but then when I left, I wasn't finding any lucrative employment in tech, right? I did all of this, and it's not registering with me.
Okay.
And so I'm working out in Schaumburg, working for this bond company called Swiss Re. And I'm doing great work, but they won't allow me to be permanent. I just kept getting contract after contract after contract, so I don't have any insurance. I don't have any of these things. I don't have any stability. And
when you say contract after contract after contract, was it like 6 months, a year?
Yeah, so it'd be 6 months. My first contract was 3 months, right? Okay. So they test you for 90 days. 90 days, okay, you're doing great, Joseph. Hey, we're going to come you on for 6 months. Now we're going to give you a 1.5 year contract, and then we'll talk about making you permanent after, because if I'm permanent, I make a lot more money.
Correct.
And then I'm able to get that insurance and things like that, and I have my stability so I can start building myself up. That never happened.
Okay.
And so when my father came to me, he was like, are you happy where you working at? And I'm just like, am I happy? Am I making a difference? Am I really doing something that I really want to do? And I never really found a job where I always had to like meet a benchmark. Like you gotta make sure you're doing this, or you gotta process this amount of checks, or you gotta do this amount of keystrokes, or make sure that you're doing, there's always some type of benchmark, right, that I have to meet. And if I don't meet my quota, then I'm in the office and I'm having conversations, right?
Right.
And so there's always that pressure of trying to meet something. And my father's like, well, Westside Health Authority, they're looking for a reentry coordinator. I don't know nothing about reentry. I've never been to prison. I don't have a background, right? And so he's like, but you'll love it because you like helping people, and you like talking, you like running your mouth. And so here I am going into this place, 5816 West Division on Austin, and I go into this place. I got on a full suit, do my interview, and I'm still there. I'm like, it's like 3 hours. I'm filling out paperwork, and he's like, hey, man, you got the job, but I need you to help me serve this food. And so I'm like, well, I got on a full suit, right? Took my jacket off, rolled my sleeves up, and every Thursday, like, we were serving people in the community a hot meal.
Let's go.
Right?
Yeah,
so we were trying to get those returning citizens to be able to come in, let's share the resources that we have, but also we were working with homeless people that were on substances. Anybody was welcome to come in and get that hot plate. And it was like 30 people there. I'm serving them. They're like, who is this young guy, right? And I'm serving the food and everything, and I'm just like, this is what I want to do, right? But I'm never going to serve this slop right here. Right?
That's right.
Because the food that they had served, it was just like, nah, give me the license. I'm going to show you how I get down in the kitchen, and I'm going to put something together for them, and that's how I started, right?
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome, man. Thank you for sharing that. I love your entrepreneurship heart and your loving heart as well for the people.
Yeah.
So let's dive into that. So you come from mother, father. They were together in the same home, not in the same home. How many siblings you have? Tell us a little bit about that.
When I was a kid, my parents were together, but I was very young. So I'm thinking about maybe 4 or 5 years old. They had separated.
Okay.
And so my mother was the breadwinner. She was the backbone. She was taking care of everything with my sister. And then my father, eventually, he had married, and then he went on to have I had more siblings. So I have 3 sisters, and I have 2 brothers.
Awesome.
I'd like to tell my father's story, even though it might sound bad, right? We didn't have the best relationship, but his story is very significant to mine because we didn't have the best relationship growing up. And so I was trying to figure out what my father was going through, and then I had to realize when I got older that there's always two sides to the story. There's the woman's side, there's the male side, and then there's the truth, right?
Okay, yeah.
And so you get that both when you connect with both of them.
Okay.
And so my father, he was on drugs, right? He was on heroin. He came back from Vietnam, a veteran, decorated lieutenant, and he, paid the cost for the country, right? But for his family.
Right.
And in that process, he lost his family through those addictions.
Right.
And so Gateway Foundation was one of those first places where I would go to see him. And then years later, I'm going there to help people myself. And so that story was very lucrative because my father went through those doors to get help and then became a counselor and started to help people through that process. And so I always had big shoes to fill when it comes to what my father did because he paved the way for myself and for my sister, who's also in the same type of work, helping people. And so that community work are helping people that need assistance where I could say, well, my father was on heroin. No, he was, but look at what he left, the legacy he left behind for us. And so our relationship started to build as we started to get older, as I started to, forgive and forget, right? Because as a kid, you kind of hold a lot of things in and you don't really talk. And once I started to communicate with him and really talk to him about how I felt and how things were, we started to have a mutual respect for one another. And so when he passed in 2021, it wasn't a shock because we knew that he was fighting, that cancer, that C word. But he left a legacy. When I look at my siblings, when I look at myself, I know that his legacy is intact because we're doing the work. We're all servants through God for the people. And so that right there in itself is like I'm built from that, right? And I'm blessed that I was able to have that relationship that I may not have had when I needed it when I was a kid, but I also had another father figure also that was in my life as well. So it kind of all worked and manifested itself all together.
This other father figure was your stepfather?
Yeah, his name was Marshall Douglas. They used to call him Fish. And so he grew up in Cabrini Green. How he met my mother, I don't want to get into all of that, right?
Okay.
But it was this man that was living with us, and he was like, who is this dude, right? And he's trying to instill these values into me because I was very intelligent, very smart, but I didn't have that street knowledge, right? Don't hang with these individuals. Don't be over here. If you see this, you need to get away, right? Stand up for yourself. Watch out for your mother, right? Walk her. These are certain things that we know, but if somebody doesn't tell you to act upon them, you're not going to really be as I had to be told what to do. I didn't know, right? And so once I knew, then you had to tell me again, and then I just lived by that principle. And so he just made me a man without me knowing that he was making me a man. And so I had to grow up with him to really realize that he was shaping me into a stand-up individual.
That's good.
To be able to, know what I'm saying, make sure that I commanded respect wherever I went, but also that I gave respect everywhere I went. And so for him to be there and hold my mother down in whatever capacity, it was a blessing because at that time we didn't have a father figure because my father was battling what he was battling and then developing himself. So.
Awesome. I love that. I love that story. You had two great men in your life.
Absolutely.
And they both helped form you. Isn't that awesome?
Well, you got to give my mother a lot of credit,
well, she's
too.
coming up. She's coming up. So I'm about to ask you about her. How's your relationship with your mom?
It's great. It's not when it comes to parents, I guess I wasn't always the most opening young man or whatever. I was always to myself. Like I would draw, I would write, I would create. And so I was always to myself, but I can come to my mother with anything. And I think that's the best relationship to have where I can talk to her about anything that's going on in my life, share. She's very proud of me. And just, I know that I'm a late bloomer, so to speak, to my progress. I think I've always just been a stand-up person, but creating impact or creating change that's probably been like over the last 10 years of my life. And so that right there is like where she's like, you're doing this, you're doing that. And she couldn't believe some of the people that I've met over the past 10 years are the places and things that I've done. And so our relationship is very unique because I can just come to her and talk to her about anything.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you said you had siblings. So how close are you with your siblings?
I'm pretty close. I mean, I'm the oldest, right? So it's a little bit different for me where it's like I kind of raised them. Like my sister, I raised her when we were growing up a certain way because my mother wasn't always at home. She was working, busting her butt to make sure that we had those essentials, food, clothing, and shelter.
Oh, yeah.
And so me being the oldest, I have to, know what I'm saying, watch out for her. And then once I started working, I would do little things that I felt like we didn't have. We didn't have like the best clothes. We didn't have the best sneakers. We didn't have all of those things that most people may have in the community, I may not. And so those things you get judged off of when you go to school, when you're around. It's like
some kids are cruel, yeah.
Yes, very cruel. But you know what I'm saying, when you look at things now, we persevere, we stay resilient. And so those things that don't even matter now, and they shouldn't have mattered then. But me and my sister, that's like my partner in crime.
Okay.
Right. Her name is Cheryl. Sometimes we can't be around each other for like 24 hours, but at least 6 hours we can have fun and we can do everything. I have another sister, Melissa, and I have another sister, Jennifer, and then my brother Jerry, and then my other brother Ken.
So Thanksgiving is coming around the corner. You guys all get together?
Try to, right? I'll try to go because everybody's gonna be doing their own thing. You know, everybody's got families now, and so I may go here, go there, but then I'm gonna end up at home once I finish. So.
With mom?
I'm gonna go see mom, but then I'm gonna go home and just be with Joseph and just do him. Because those days, because I work so hard, I like to just have some time to myself as well. So
it's like your day off because of the holiday, so you're taking advantage of that day. No, I feel you. I totally feel you. It's like, it's my day off. I'm taking advantage of this day because the government's paying for this day.
Exactly. And we get two, so we're going to get that day and the next day.
Oh, man,
so we get that whole weekend, and then I don't have to come back the Monday. I usually take that Monday off, too.
Okay. Yeah, I only get one. I plan some vacation days around it if I could just have those, those days off because I just want to chill too. And plus family's here. And you got that Black Friday coming up. Got to go shopping.
Nah, I ain't spending no money on Black Friday.
Bro, mom's going to be calling me about 3 o'clock in the morning. We got to be at the store. We got to be at the store. Get up. Yeah, that's my mom.
I do not shop on I have not shopped on Black Friday in at least 5 to 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't shop on Black Friday.
Okay.
Because I used to do a lot of consumer work.
So you're not going out. See, my mom still goes out, right? I'm always trying to convince my mom, just go to Amazon.
Right.
Just jump online. She wants to go to the store.
But see, now you got them fights, and you're not getting them good products that you should.
I'm sleeping in the car. I'm just driving her.
Oh, okay. You just being.
I'm like, Mom, go ahead, do your thing. I'll stay right here. She sometimes drags me in, but it's moms. You gotta be there for moms.
You gotta take care of moms.
Yeah. So how was you growing up, man? Let's bring it to a year of, let's say you were 10 years old. Who was Joseph Green at 10 years old?
Joseph was wild.
Okay.
He was very wild. I mean, I was a wild individual, but I was to myself. At 10, I probably was playing basketball. I was very active outside. We used to hustle, right? So we used to collect cans, collect bottles, play softball. If it was cold outside, you played football as soon as that weather changed. I think I had I had a great childhood, let me just say that, right? I grew up in Franklin Park in K-Town. Okay. So I grew up on 13th and Kildare, so I grew up right across the street from Franklin Park. Right? Okay. And so we had the basketball court, you got swimming in the summertime, you got softball, baseball, you got the field house, you know what I'm saying? So you got all these different places. And so all you can do is be active and be outside and just have fun with your friends. And so I was always very territorial with my sister. Okay. I didn't want anybody picking on her or messing with her. But other than that, I was outside just freely, right? Just doing, as long as I came in before it got dark, I was good.
Good old days when we knew we had to be in when the light turned on, the street light turned on.
And if the light turned on, we just had to be on the block, and then we could probably stay
Oh,
out at
you
least
were
a
lucky.
couple hours. That's because back then, when I grew up,
Uh-huh.
right, if somebody knew you, they could whoop you, or you know.
Oh,
you
absolutely.
Get
Same
in
time when I grew
Right.
up, but the street light turned on, they could whoop me all the way home.
Exactly.
Because my mom stuck her head out. We used to live in a third floor building, and my mom used to stick her head out the window and scream out our names.
Yep.
And we had to come. And it was funny too because the street light was right by the window. So when she saw the light turn on, you know what I'm saying? She's like, boom, and she's right at that window screaming out our names.
Nah, they used to be like, yo, mama looking for you. And I'm just like, all right, we coming. Yo, mama's looking for you right now. Go home. And so that was that. Each parent was your parent back then.
Yes, definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The village really took care of us back then.
Exactly.
Amen.
Exactly.
Amen to that. Amen to that. So let's go. That was 10 years old. Let's move on to 17, 18 years old. You're just coming out of high school, maybe, right? 17, 18.
Yeah.
How was that?
Hip hop, Snoop Doggy Dogg, Compton Most Wanted. I was real West Coast back then.
So music was a big
lot of-
impact.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Art and hip hop
Okay.
was real impactful. I listened to a lot of music. I used to have headphones all the time.
Okay.
And I would be in my own world, my own space.
You said you had headphones. You talking about the MP3s? You talking about
No.
talking about CDs?
No, we talking about tapes.
You talking about tapes?
Yeah. Cassette players.
I didn't know you were as old as me.
Yeah, man.
All right, okay. You look a little younger. Okay.
I know.
Okay.
And
All right.
Cassette player, listening to some of the greats, right?
Let's go.
Growing up with listening, because I think like 93 was Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
94 Wu-Tang. Well, 93 was Wu-Tang, stuff like that.
Yeah, 92, 93. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was West Coast, but I was listening to a lot of New York. I think Nas and Wu-Tang
Yeah.
definitely brought my ear back to the East Coast at that time.
Word.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So from 17 and 18 years old, now into your 20s. I'm going to go a little bit late 20s because now I know how old you are.
Right.
What did 25 to 30 look like?
I was probably working in a mall. I remember working at the bank. I was working at LaSalle Bank, which eventually got taken over by Bank of America.
Yeah.
So I was working at LaSalle Bank. I was a teller. But then I was also working at the mall. And I remember they had let us go at LaSalle. And so I used to always talk about, because I used to work at North Riverside Mall, and I used to work at JW,
Okay.
Jeans West.
Yeah.
And so I got promoted to assistant manager at Coda, which was another store that was connected to it.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like when I started like becoming a leader or whatever, like leading people. But I was so into a lot of other stuff at that time. It was a lot of BS going on. I was doing a lot of things that I'm not proud of at that time. But I was surviving. I was a knucklehead. I wasn't listening. I think I was listening. I was actually living with my father around that time.
But it seems like you're always put in positions of leadership.
Yeah.
So was there college involved in this? Or
No.
There was no college involved in this, and they were still putting you in positions of leadership. So people saw something in you.
Well, I always worked hard, right? I think the one thing I've always had a very strong work ethic. Like if I'm gonna come in every day and do a job, I'm gonna make sure that I do it the right way. I think that I've always spoken my mind. I've always been very truthful, and I'm really not unfiltered, but respectfully unfiltered, right? And I think people always looked at me as, okay, he's a bright young man, and we'll give him a chance. And just really showing like a strong work ethic, coming in on time, doing what I said I'm going to do, and then making things happen. And so when you're selling clothes all day, right, and you're working with younger people and they are drawn to you because they think you cool, or they just like, my swagger at that time or whatever.
Just like your vibe, yeah.
Yeah, my vibe. So people started to rock and roll with me, so to speak.
So what is the next 5 years looking for you, Joseph Green?
I mean, that's hard to say, right? I think since I've been in this cohort, 5-year plan, and it's hard to really say what 5 years is gonna look like for me, right? Because God has given me a lot of gifts. He's been blessing me. I think through everything that I've done in my life over these last 10 years, I think I've just been getting blessed abundantly every single day. And so I know that I'm going to be in this workforce component. I know that my job is to bring this workforce to Austin the right way, to help people, to empower them. But there's other things that I can do as well, right? And so I'm almost like I have my goals set, right? But I know that God has a plan for me. The universe has a plan for me, and I just have to keep pushing towards it. So I feel like as long as I'm doing the right thing, then I'm always going to be navigated that right way. But I do have some goals in mind. I'm still working on my 5-year plan. So, and it's scary, right? Because you're planning the next 5 years what you want to do. I want to have a family. I want to, have that component. But I also want to be preparing for my next 15 years so that after the next 20, I don't have to work no more after these next 20 years. I don't want to work anymore, right? And I think one of our instructors, Brett Townsend, she said it most like, Shouts out to Brett. Right. I want to be free. I want to have freedom.
That's right.
And that freedom can consist of me just waking up every morning and not doing nothing or helping people every single day. But I want to be free and the people that surround me to also be free.
Amen to that. Amen to that. So if you had a superpower, what would it be?
Can I pick a superhero or do I just pick a superpower?
The superhero is something that
I feel like I'm Batman.
It's going to reflect you, right?
I feel like I'd be Batman.
Okay, why?
Because I would use my resources to help everybody, but I also use my resources to fight injustice. Because I'm really I hate when people are used, are manipulated, or they're treated wrong, and that justice isn't across the board for all people. Right? This is a country where we say that, all men are created equal, and a lot of times that's not really always the case. So I don't see myself as an activist, but I definitely see myself as Batman would say, vengeance. I'm a disruptor, right? I'm a disruptor in a lot of ways sometimes, but I also know how to play my role as well. But I would love to be that fighter of injustice. So I would use my $1 billion resources to help the homeless, help everybody, but then I'd be kicking butt at night as well. So
Joseph, thank you for coming down to the Community Leaders Podcast.
Thank you for inviting me, brother.